What's happening, guys? Welcome back. So I don't really do many week in review videos. There was a period when I first started the channel where I was really big on doing a couple of news stories per video, but I got away from that. On the occasion, I've had a reason to kind of put a whole bunch of news stories together in one video, and I kind of wish I did it more because it's actually a lot of fun. So that's what I'm going to do today. It turned out to be a really busy week. There was a couple of fairly big news stories, a couple of things that I want to talk about. Other than the Star Fox delay, a video I've already made and discussed just that one topic, there's a couple other pretty big things I'm going to put into one sort of format and talk about a few interesting pieces of news stories. There's quite a few here. Let me fix my note. And being that it's the weekend and there was so much that happened, I thought it would be fun to do this. So, we're going to start off with the biggest, and probably the most relevant to most people who watch Rule of Two Review, and that is going to be the patent of the shoulder button rotating scroller dealio for a new controller for Nintendo, very potentially the Nintendo NX. You've probably seen it. You're looking at a picture of it right now. And it's interesting because the picture for the patent shows what is almost exactly the current Nintendo gamepad for the Wii U, where it's basically that, large controller with the screen in the middle. It's got analog sticks, it's got buttons, it's got shoulder buttons. Now, people have pointed out a couple of significant differences. The most obvious when you look at the patent picture is the fact that instead of 4 face buttons, there's only 2, which is really weird to me, and I don't know if that's just because the drawing is supposed to be very crude, or if that actually means anything. Apparently, it also shows that instead of traditional analog sticks on the gamepad, they're more the circle pad controls, which is what's currently on the Nintendo DS and the 3DS. And I've noticed that a lot of people haven't brought this up because they say, oh yeah, it's just like what's on the 3DS. But I think people forget that the very first design of the gamepad for the Wii U, when the Wii U was first revealed at E3 2011, had those. It was actually, as the gamepad was more evolved and fully designed into what it's released as today, it started with just little circle pads on each side. It wasn't fully formed analog sticks, but luckily it became traditional analog sticks by the time it came out, as they adjusted it a little bit here and there, which I think was great. Very, very smart. But again, this patent photo, this drawing, I should say, has just circle pad controls, not analog sticks. But the big thing, the reason and the purpose of the drawing and the patent was the fact that there are shoulder buttons, and these shoulder buttons apparently are clickable and scrollable just like on a mouse. And they go over a couple of unique ideas that you can use those for, and I mean, it doesn't totally blow my mind, but I do think it's pretty cool. If I was to really just look at it as, okay, shoulder buttons that are clickable and scrollable, that's a new thing for a controller on a video game console, and I think that that's cool. I think that Nintendo would be probably the best company to take what seems like a very simple design to move over from a PC mouse onto a game controller and probably make it work in pretty cool ways, both in using the system's UI and whatever kind of thing happens with the Nintendo NX as far as how you work with the system and the interface for it, and for gameplay. So it's pretty interesting, and the fact that it's on a gamepad, I don't really know what that means, because we don't know if the Nintendo NX is going to use a controller that's brand new for the system, if it's going to allow for the current Wii U gamepad to work with it, if it's going to be something where there's a portable version of the NX and a home console version of the NX. That is currently the most popular rumor and theory floating around, that there's going to be one, that they're both 2 different versions of the NX. The NX itself, in its complete form, is one released sellable product that's a portable, and then one released sellable product that is a console, and they work together. So maybe this crude drawing and this patent and these shoulder buttons would be for the portable version of the NX. Or, like I said, it could just be that the shoulder buttons are only just put on something that looks like a gamepad for the sake of making it relevant to what happens to be the current controller for their current machine. I mean, it could mean any of these one things. Who knows? I can't really and don't really want to talk any more deeply about it because we've had so many rumors and theories about the NX, and we're only getting small tidbits of information from Nintendo or any credible sources. And they're all very interesting, and you've heard me talk about the rumors many times and my feelings on them, the good and the bad, and you've heard other people do the same thing. So, there's a big conversation to have there, obviously. I just want to leave it at that. I think it's very interesting and curious that these patents came out. We don't quite know yet what they're for. Are they for the Wii U and the gamepad? Are they for a new portable? Are they for the NX? Are they something that we'll never see? Who even knows? I do think it's cool, though. Ultimately, my feelings, the idea of clickable and scrollable shoulder buttons, I think is neat, especially in Nintendo's hand. So I would like to see whatever standard controller is meant to come with the NX that you're supposed to use with the NX once it finally releases. I would like it to have these shoulder buttons. I think that there's cool things Nintendo would do with them. So with any luck, the Nintendo NX comes out with its own unique controller, and this is one of the newest features and additions for the system and the controller for Nintendo's next hardware. And that's kind of what I feel about that. It'll be very interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. Moving on to the next thing that came out is Andrew House from Sony had confirmed with, first we have what has been previously known as Project Morpheus, Sony's virtual reality headset kind of home entertainment platform that they're planning on releasing sometime soon. First thing is they changed the name, and it went from Project Morpheus to PlayStation VR, which is a far less exciting or unique name. But to be fair, it's pretty straightforward. It's blunt, you know, and that's a fine thing. I guess they're not really beating around the bush. They're saying, this is the thing it is. It's for the PlayStation. It's virtual reality. Boom. There you go. Nice and simple. Is it exciting? No, but it's simple and it gets the message across, and that's probably what they're going for. So PlayStation VR is officially renamed, and Andrew House comes out and says this last week that it's going to be priced like a brand new platform. Like brand new hardware platforms are typically priced. Now, that to me, that says between $300 and $400 to be able to pick up a PlayStation VR. Now, there's like 50 or some odd games in development currently for it, and that's great. That's a very large library of games. You know, how soon after the launch of the PlayStation VR these games would be available? Obviously, we don't know that yet, so it could be 50 games made available within the first 3 years of its launch, and suddenly, if that's the case, $300 or $400 doesn't seem like a pretty good value. If there's a lot of games available right out of the gate when this thing would launch at that price, that's okay. That makes the proposition, the value a little bit better. But at the end of the day, man, I think that's too much money. I've thought about this a little bit too, and I really wanted to kind of, you know, look inwardly and determine, okay, is that really too much money, or is that justifiable? Does that make sense? And, you know, I was considering the fact that the two different versions of the Oculus Rift dev kits that have been made available for developers over the past couple of years have been around $300 each, and that's just for dev kits of the unfinished version of the Oculus Rift. So in that respect, there's a comparable price structure going on. It's like, okay, an unfinished version of the Oculus Rift cost developers $300, so a final version of Sony's virtual reality costing $300 or $400, you know, that seems okay. It's right in that same price line. But my feeling is that both the Oculus Rift and the Project Morpheus, PlayStation VR, or any consumer VR that might actually be released, I would like to think that they get the technology perfected down and the price point at a more competitive price before actually making it available to the public. If it costs Sony $300 to $400 to put out their virtual reality right now, then I feel like it's just not ready, and they should wait until it only costs around $200. To me, $200 or $250 is like the top line price that this thing should be made available at. You know, honestly, I feel like the perfect price for a VR that I would very comfortably pay and be very excited for is $100 to $150. Like the Kinect, when the first Kinect came out, that was $150. I bought one, and obviously a lot of people bought one. It didn't turn out to be worth it, but at that time, with that technology at that price point, that felt okay. That was like a justifiably new piece of technology that we were willing to pay for our gaming console. And let's say the Wii U existed with the standard controller, and then they come out with just the gamepad, and it's like, here's this new amazing controller we're coming out with for the Wii U, and it's this gamepad. I could see that being worth $100. You know, I would probably pay that, just $100 for a gamepad for a system. But $300 or $400 for virtual reality, I get that there's a lot of technology going into it. And like I said, for all we know, it probably does cost that much to make a Project Morpheus headset. And that's fine, but I just don't know that it's the time to release one of these things. I don't think it'll be very successful or popular. So it remains to be seen. I definitely want to hear your guys' take on how you feel that price applies to the VR. I would think most of you, just like myself, have not tried any of the VR headsets. I've never tried an Oculus Rift. I haven't tried the PlayStation VR. I don't know how awesome it is. It looks awesome. I have absolutely enjoyed watching PewDiePie and Markiplier and all these other people play Oculus Rift games. I think it looks like a lot of fun, especially for horror games. I really want to try one, and I would like them to be made available at a price I feel comfortable paying for sure. But even with my excitement, I haven't tried it, so I don't really know if it's worth it. Is it worth $300 or $400? I can't imagine so. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the first time I have an opportunity to put one of those things on, I'm so blown away, it's like, hell yes, I will buy one for $400 right now. Maybe that would happen, but I seriously doubt it. So you guys tell me what you think. If you've tried VR or not, do you think it's worth it? Is Sony way overstepping their bounds in their confidence? I'm leaning towards yes, they are. So those are my thoughts on the PlayStation VR. The next thing I need to talk about just has a personal impact to me. I think some people will find it pretty interesting. Very small piece of news. Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, which was the third Sonic Boom game that Sega is attempting to make, which was going to be for the 3DS, coming out, I think, when the new season of the Sonic Boom TV show is supposed to launch, I think. Was going to be coming out for the 3DS before the end of this year, and that got delayed. Why did it get delayed, you might ask? Well, it's because they feel like the game isn't up to quality, and they want to delay it to polish it up. So obviously this is interesting for a few reasons. I like talking about it because I freaking love Sonic. I love Sonic the Hedgehog, even through his bad times. I own Sonic Boom on the Wii U, by the way. You've seen my review. It was a very popular video. I've talked about it a couple of times. And yes, it was almost a complete catastrophe, absolutely. But I still appreciate the weird, quirky anomaly that is Sonic Boom and what the hell happened there. And at the same time, because I love Sonic, I want to see him release great games again. Sonic Lost World, which was the last Sonic game before Sonic Boom came out, is a great game. Like, I really enjoy that game. It's not perfect, but it's a really good game. It's beautiful. Controls, sometimes horrible, but when they're good, they're actually really good, and the level design was fantastic. So there's a lot of good things happening with Sonic Lost World. And so, you know, Sonic Boom, they released a Wii U and a 3DS game, and they were both panned. They're both trash. They're not good games, unfortunately. But they were working on this third game for the 3DS. I was like, man, I can't believe they're making another Sonic Boom game. But, you know, the show is doing very well. And so I think Sega is seeing positive returns and profits on the Sonic Boom license right now. So they're trying to get back in. They're making the smaller risk by just making another 3DS title. And I like to believe that there could be a good Sonic Boom game to be made. And I obviously believe that good Sonic games can still be made. I'm waiting for the next great Sonic the Hedgehog game. And Sonic Fire and Ice was going to come out, and it was like, this is a huge mistake to even try again. But now I hear that they're willing to delay this game to polish it. And it's like, well, good. Maybe they really learned their lesson with how the first two Sonic Boom games, especially the Wii U game, Rise of Lyric, played out. And it basically became famous for being terrible, which is always an interesting kind of anomaly and phenomenon when that happens. But it's happened before. It happened with Sonic Boom. And obviously Sega doesn't want their game and the Sonic Boom gaming franchise to be known as complete trash. So they're probably trying to use Fire and Ice to, you know, restore the franchise, or restore the brand, I should say, Sonic Boom brand, and maybe hopefully make a good game. So maybe they learned from the first two games. They're like, hey, it's worth it to delay this game. Let's just make sure that the next Sonic Boom game is actually a good game. I would love this game, especially a 3DS game, to be really great. I would love to play a great portable game, portable Sonic game, and have it be good. So I don't know, I just thought that this was interesting, and they're delaying the next Sonic Boom game to make it good, which they obviously weren't willing to do the first time around. I have no freaking clue why. But hey, if it took those first two games to teach Sega and Big Red fucking Button a lesson, then good. Hey, delay the game, make the next Sonic Boom great, and I'll be happy to buy the next 3DS Sonic Boom game. I will happily buy Fire and Ice if it's even pretty good. It doesn't even have to be great, just pretty good, because I like Sonic that much. So we'll see how that game plays out, but I thought that was a curious piece of news as a huge Sonic fan. And now I'm going to move on to the last piece of news here, and this is a big one for me, and it's horrible news, but it's also not surprising news. Konami has announced officially, after the launch of Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain just a couple of weeks ago, finally that game came out to rave reviews. Konami now has announced, right now, they are no longer making any more AAA games. And that fucking blows. That is horrible news. Again, we saw this coming. Konami has been a shitstorm of bad press and bad PR the last couple of months. Deservedly so. They have shot themselves in the foot. They have become the worst cancer on gaming development I have almost ever seen or experienced. And it sucks because they have made some of the best games of all time, and they own 3 of the greatest and most storied franchises of all time. Metal Gear, obviously, Castlevania, which hasn't really been brought up with the recent controversy, but we can't forget that they own Castlevania, and the one that hurts me the most, Silent Hill. You heard me yell and scream and rant and curse and swear about Silent Hill, Silent Hills, Konami's cancellation and complete screwing of that game. And, you know, we have seen what's been happening with Konami. We heard that they were slowing down making regular games. They're moving to gambling games and pinball machines and pachinko machines and mobile games, and they felt like that's their future. And it's like, well, what about these other great franchises you own? What about Silent Hill and Castlevania and Metal Gear? Like, don't let those series die. But we still had this, you know, at least myself, I've been having this hope that we might still get the resurrection of these games sometime soon. Maybe Konami just needs a break. And then we get this news this week that they are straight up halting development of AAA games, which means we're not going to see a new Silent Hill game. We're not going to see a new Castlevania. Metal Gear Solid just launched. That's like their last AAA game probably ever. And, you know, they released in this same statement about halting AAA games that Metal Gear Solid 5 cost them $80 million to make. And they paid for, you know, very talented voice acting, like with Kiefer Sutherland and whatnot. High-end graphics. Hideo Kojima inflates budgets. That's why he got fired and cut from Konami, and Gray Fox is gone, and all this other shit going on there. And it's like, they did that to basically prove a point, showing that they no longer are interested in spending a lot of money to make good games. They don't believe in the return good games are going to give them. They don't believe in spending money to get a return on their product. And, like, that's a horrible business model for any company, not just a gaming company. Like, if you're a restaurant, if you make food, if you want to make a lot of money, you need to spend a lot of money to make sure you have quality food inside of your kitchen that you're making and serving to people. And if the quality of your food is good, people are going to know it's good. They're going to be willing to pay extra money for quality food, and they're going to be willing to pay, they're going to spread the word via word of mouth that, hey, this is the restaurant you want to go to. You want to spend money on a good meal? Go to this place because it's really good, high quality food. Same with a car company, same with a jewelry company, same with a poster company. I mean, whatever your company is, you invest money in your product. You make your product high quality. A movie company, you spend a lot of money on your movie. Not always with movies, actually. Some very expensive movies are trash, but they do also sometimes make money. So what are you going to do? But in general, you spend a lot of money to make your product high quality, you're going to get that money back and then some. And that absolutely applies in the gaming space. And like Konami, when you've put time and effort into your games, you've made your money back. And you know what? Metal Gear Solid 5 might have cost you $80 million to make, but look at the reviews it's had, look at the sales it's had. You're going to be making way more than $80 million in profit back. So it's just a very curious scenario where they're trying to, I think, make this point of spending a lot of money to make a game is stupid because you can't make that money back. And it's like, really, you're going to learn the same lesson with the Phantom Pain that you are going to make your money back. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with Konami. No one knows. I mean, people complain about it. I've complained about it. And it's really sad to me, and you know why it's mostly sad to me. I don't really care too much about Metal Gear. I am very sad about Castlevania, but it's Silent Hill that really hits me here. Hits me in the Samus chest, you know. The fact that we might not ever see a true Silent Hill game is tragic. Tragedy beyond belief for me, because I love Silent Hill and I love horror games, and it's just the stupidest, worst, dumb thing ever. I think our only hope anymore is for Konami to say, hey, we don't want to make games in these franchises anymore. We're going to make mobile and pachinko stuff. You know what? Sell those franchises. It's crazy how much money they would get in a lump sum purchase if they sold off Metal Gear to another company, if they sold Silent Hill, and if they sold Castlevania. You know, take those franchises. You want to make money, just sell them to people who will do good things with them. Because I think that there's obviously a future for all 3 of those franchises still. Metal Gear Solid 5 proves that. There's no reason for you to stop making AAA games just because you don't know what the fuck to do with video games anymore, Konami. You go make grocery stores and pachinko machines and pinball machines all you want. We don't want that shit. Sell Silent Hill, Castlevania, and Metal Gear, and just get the hell out of the gaming industry. We're done with you. No one likes you. Like I said, you are a cancer to what makes our hobby so great. And how dare you potentially squander and kill the opportunity of these other franchises that deserve so much better than what you're giving them. So anyway, that's it. I had a little soapbox rant. It was very important for me to talk about this because I've loved what Konami has been in the past. They've been around since the NES days when I was growing up as a kid gaming. They've been around for a long time. And now they're killing 3 franchises that are great. One of them, that's my favorite of all time. So I had to kind of get that out there. Very interesting development with Konami finally confirming the nail in the coffin. How will things play out now in the future with these franchises and with Konami as a company? We don't know yet. You know, tell me what you guys think, what your guys' theories are. But I don't know. Those are the 4 stories that I wanted to discuss. I thought there's a lot of interesting things happening this week, and instead of making 4 or 5 different videos, which would have taken me forever, I condensed it into one video, plus my Star Fox video that I released earlier. So that's what's going on there, you know. What do you guys think about that stuff? The NX shoulder button patent for Nintendo's new controller, Sony virtual reality pricing, Sonic Boom's tragic delay, and Konami and their AAA bullshit game development. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on there, but really fun to do kind of a week in review video. So that's what's been going on. These are the interesting stories that I found entertaining to myself and why I wanted to talk about them to you guys. And that's it. Share your thoughts on all these stories below. What do you guys think? Thanks for tuning in. This, of course, is Rob of Roll to Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.